All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 342 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller, and I want to tell you guys once again, man, you guys are amazing. I mean, the numbers are reflecting what you guys like to hear and see, and I'm doing my best to give you the best content possible. You know, without you guys, I cannot do this. I mean, I don't have the drive or the motivation to do this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love talking about my teams, but when I get the feedback that I get from you guys, it makes it all worthwhile, and it makes me want to continue to have this dialogue with you, you know, to make this content. You know, looking at you guys in the comment section, reading what you guys say, agree, disagree, good, bad, or indifferent. It's always awesome to see because it shows that we have some type of, you know, passion for the teams that we talk about. So I want to thank you guys again. I really, really appreciate it. If this is your first time here, welcome to the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. Georgia Southern is still going through the process of picking up more recruits, trying to find guys that can fill some slots from the transfer portal. We will get into that at some time soon. I just cannot find enough content to make a full video on, but I will be talking about that sometime down the road. You can find me on YouTube or Rumble if you want to watch the visual side of this. If you want to listen to the audio side, I am on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify. I'm also on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. So you can find, you know, your way to listen to this episode or any of the content that I put out on the podcast avenue, whatever your preference is. Once again, I cannot thank you guys enough. Let's go ahead and get into this episode because we're going to talk about the running game. We already know that we cut Mike Davis after the one season that he was with us. At the same time, we drafted a running back in the 5th round, Tyler Allgeier. We're going to talk about this kid and see if he's going to be the biggest difference maker of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm talking about over defense, offense, special teams, coaching, whatever the case may be. Can this guy be the cornerstone of the turnaround of the Falcons? Because we all know defense win championships. We also know that passing the ball and being aggressive put points on the board. But to wear down a team, to beat up on a team, to be physically pushing around guys in the trenches, offense or defense, but this time we're going to talk about offense, making these guys, you know, quit and making the opposition quit, making these guys don't want to tackle in the 3rd and 4th quarter. You know, just breaking the will of a team. I want to talk about how important that can be to a team that's on its way to try to win more football games and try to go into the playoffs and further. A guy like Tyler Allgeier came through BYU as a walk-on. He started off as a walk-on, and he ended up being one of the running backs that nobody really talked about. First of all, he's on the West Coast. I mean, he's in Utah, but pretty much he's on the West Coast in college football terms, so you may not have been able to watch many of his games. Now, this team was in the top 15 throughout most of the season. They did pretty well for themselves this past season, but we're going to talk about this running back, 5'11", 224, one-cut style back, can break tackles. I think he led college football in broken tackles last year. Very good and versatile running back. And for him to actually run the ball the way he does, actually having over 1,600 yards is really impressive. No matter what type of level of football you're playing, when you're playing against your peers and you're playing in a power, I guess the BYU is still in a group of 5, playing up against Power 5 opponents and still able to rack up that many yards and have 23 touchdowns, I think, you know, that is a pretty good resume to have. Now, not only last year, this is not a one-year fluke. The year before, in 2020, he had 150 carries for 1130. You know, almost 7 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns on top of that. So he can do a little bit of everything. We saw him catch passes out the backfield. We know that he can run between the tackles. And with the stout that he has at 5'11", 224, he's capable of doing a lot of stuff. he's capable of doing a lot of things. And when you compare it to what we had last year, when you had Mike Davis playing, Mike Davis didn't do too well. So this could be a huge upgrade. I'm not saying that it is right away because we don't know what's going to happen with Tyler Allgeier. I mean, the numbers in college look good. Will it translate to the NFL? It looks like it can. But when you have a running back who averaged 3.6 yards a carry and 29 yards a game, I mean, there's nowhere to go but up. But when you're looking at a guy like Allgeier, I think he can contribute right away. A lot of people say he has a running style of Emmitt Smith, which at first I didn't really think about it. But the more I think about it, it's like, okay, I can see where the comparisons come from. But, comparing him to a Hall of Famer like Emmitt Smith is very, really, it's almost unfair because it's Emmitt Smith. You don't want to put that on somebody right away, but when you look at a guy who can run the ball the way he does, and I actually watched him play against my Georgia Southern Eagles, this kid is the real deal. And when you have guys like Quadri Allison and Damian Williams, with Quadri Allison can be more of a bruiser, and if the guy I don't want to name from the AJC, which I blocked on Twitter, if you want to talk about somebody who has possible fumble in their shoes, Quadri Allison, I like him. But when he fumbled that ball late in the season, I can't remember what game that was. I was so done with him. But he's been re-signed, so hey, I'm gonna be here to give him another chance, and hopefully he can contribute. Dame Williams is another guy that we picked up from the Chicago Bears. Definitely could catch out the backfield as well. So these two guys are changing pace to the balance of what Allgeier can do. I think when you're looking at a guy who can run the ball and be successful at breaking tackles, not being afraid of punishment, not being afraid of giving out punishment, also could catch out the backfield. The third and fourth quarter, if we have we don't even have to have a big lead. If we have the lead and the team needs the ball back to score, and this guy gets going and start running, those 50 broken tackles that he had at BYU could easily turn into 75. Hell, they can still stay 50. And with that being said, nobody's going to want to tackle this guy in the third and fourth quarter. He's not like one of those huge big bruisers like Derrick Henry, but at 5'11", 224 pounds, which I was suspecting him to probably gain maybe 10 more pounds at the most. Maybe after doing some strength and conditioning on a professional level. I don't expect him to get up to 240 or anything like that. But I think anywhere around the 230, 235 range will be perfect for Allgeier to beef up a little bit, because even at 224, you already at NFL size. You are already there, but you still want to put on more muscle. You still want to get a little bit more stout in your in the way that you want to build your body for the build your body for the running back position in the NFL. Now, with the passing game we have, it's really going to be interesting to see how much will actually open up in the running game, because last year, I mean, thank God for Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was able to make something out of the passing game with what we had. Not only just Matt Ryan, Cordell Patterson, and Kyle Pitts, but now you have a Drake London, you have Alden Tate, you got Cordell Patterson, which I think Cordell Patterson is probably going to get into more of the role of in the passing game than the running game. I would be really interested to see how many carries he gets this year. Especially when you have somebody who can be a bell cow like Allgeier, where Cordell Patterson had to run the ball more because of the lack of production from Mike Davis. So it's going to be really interesting to see that. But nevertheless, you have Kyle Pitts, Drake London, you have Cordell Patterson, Alden Tate, Olamide Zaccheaus. You got these guys who that people are going to have to take account for in the passing game. I get it that, Mariota is not the guy, which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to have to look at more tape of him, more recent tape of Mariota. Because I first of all, I haven't really been watching any of tape on Mariota. I know who he is, but I want to see how well he's actually can get the ball down the field. I've heard rumblings that not only Mariota but Desmond Ritter like to throw it to the tight ends. So that's another aspect that we're gonna have to look into when it comes to actual the passing game. So what does that do to open up for Allgeier? I think it gives opportunities. That left side, not the left side, but that right side of the offensive line is going to have to do something. It's going to have to step up and do some things so we can get more of a running game. Because most of the time when I've seen runs, I think they've mostly been on the left side. I mean, that right side has just been, kind of just lacking. But one thing I will say, I do know that Jalen Mayfield is a much better run blocker than a pass blocker. So that kind of bode well as well. Now, when you do have a situation where we're running the ball pretty good, that can open up play action, that can open up, a couple of RPOs, that can open up a couple of design runs for the quarterback as well. So we have a situation where we can have the front seven of a defense all on its toes. So this is why I say that Tyler Allgeier can be the true difference maker, because now we're not one-sided on offense. We're not looking to force the ball down the field, which we can, be aggressive going downfield with guys that are 6'4" and above throwing the football to, but we don't have to worry about that. First down, we can actually, we could possibly run the ball with confidence. We can actually get in a mode to where we can do a second and second and short, be a possible play action, and the defense will be really not knowing what we're going to do. Or we could do a third and long where it could be a situation where we do a draw play, and that draw play could get us 8, 9, 10 yards. See, these are the type of things where when you have a balance or you have a threat at the running game, this is where you can see where, all right, this defense don't know what's going to happen in the first part of, the game. Okay, we need to take account for everybody. We got 3 receivers out here that can actually catch the ball. You can say what they want about Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus has the potential to be pretty good in the slot position. And it's good that we have these receivers out of here now where Zacchaeus can play that slot position. I've seen him do some good things in the slot position before, but with what happened last year, we don't know we had to put him in situations where he wasn't necessarily comfortable. But with Zacchaeus in the slot, Drake and Auden Tate on the outside, you have Kyle Pitts and oh goodness, what is the kid that we just drafted from Georgia? He's gonna be a blocking tight end, but nevertheless, let me look, because I know you guys would know. I'm gonna look right now. When you look at that, he's going to be a blocking tight end. You're going to have guys that are actually going to be, looking at him as a threat, because he can still catch the ball. You know what I mean? He still can catch the ball. I'm looking right now. John Fitzpatrick, there he is. When you have a John Fitzpatrick right there, can actually do a little bit of everything. It's going to be really, interesting to see what the defense is going to do. And not only that, the person who was picked right before him, Justin Schaefer, what's going to happen with this situation? He's a pretty good looking offensive lineman that can actually make some things happen. 2-year starter, and probably going to compete with Jalen Mayfield. So we don't know what's going to happen to Jalen Mayfield. Will Jalen Mayfield move over and take Caleb McGarry's job? With the running game, we're really going to have to look at the offensive line as well, because that's what makes it go. You look at a guy like Emmitt Smith. We go back and double back and talk about him. Emmitt Smith was a good running back. There's no denying that. But you also have to understand that what made Emmitt Smith great? A very good offensive line. What made Ezekiel Elliott really good? A great offensive line. But when the offensive line starts to fall off a bit, that running back don't look as good anymore. Now, I know our offensive line needs a lot of work, and we need to make another episode on that at another time. We really do. because that's something that we need to talk about. I be on the lookout for an episode on that sometime in the near future, because we talk about what, Tyler Allgeier can do. Is he going to be the difference maker? Is he going to be the biggest difference maker? The thing about this is the offensive line has to do something. And I do like what the Falcons did by picking up Justin Schaefer, because this is another guy, just like Allgeier, that not many people talked about, but can be very productive. He's been in winning football games. He's been in big games. He knows how to block against NFL prospects. This is one of the reasons why I said it is real important to see guys that are playing the way they are on tape. This is why I'm really big on the undrafted free agent Brad Hawkins. He played against NFL prospects. Now the flip side of that, if you have not played, and I'm gonna get back to the running back in a second. Get back to promise. I'm gonna get back to him. If you haven't played at high level, if you haven't played at high level against high level competition, as far as playing in the FCS or playing in let's say for Troy Anderson, Montana State, you have to be a freakish of an athlete. That's Troy Anderson. You see what I'm saying? So you can't just be the run-of-the-mill linebacker or a good linebacker or a good player in the FCS and just think you can translate to the NFL. You have to stand out. And my God, Troy Anderson stands out when it comes to playing at that level and moving to the NFL. So this is one of the reasons why, this whole situation with Nakobe Dean and this, that, I get it. But when you have a guy like Troy Anderson, you have to have that type of makeup to justify getting picked over other guys that have played at a high level. So nevertheless, let's get back to the running game. When you have an offensive line that can push people around, when you have an offensive line that knows how to move people, that don't mind putting the other guys in places that they don't want to go, for the running back to run through this through the hole and gain yards. Like I said, that wears down on the defense. That wears down on them, immensely. In some cases, by the second quarter, these guys don't want to tackle a running back anymore. Sometimes by then they don't want to be dealing with run blocking schemes anymore. You know what I mean? You can put guys in that position, and when you do that, they don't want to blitz anymore. They don't want to do anything. After you don't wear down a defensive line, then you don't. Once you wear those guys down, they don't want to do anything. This is where you can open up the passing with the play action. You can actually drop back and pass because you don't have to worry about the blitz because everybody's tired. You could do so many things with the running game, and this is why I feel that our new running back, Tyler Allgeier, can be the biggest difference maker. When putting points on the board, that's what actually, that actually matters, obviously. And we are, like I said, defense does win championships. I still believe that. But you can also make the case where a big time running game can do so as well. So running the ball and stopping the run. We all heard that before. Running the ball and stopping the run. If you can do those two things, you're going to go far. Even though this is a passing league, which we will touch on that later, because in some cases, you just need a really good pass rush to stop the pass, and you need pretty good corners as well, which I think we did a pretty good job with that. I talked about that a little bit in the last episode. I think we did pretty good with that. But if we want to be diverse and be dynamic in every way, we have to be able to move the ball, and we have to have a way to dominate football games in every aspect. We just can't worry about getting a good pass rush. We can't just have an emphasis on having good cornerbacks. We can't just have an emphasis on throwing the ball up in the air all day to Drake London or Kyle Pitts. We can't worry about a quarterback that can run all the time. We just can't focus on one of those things. To be in a good football team, you're going to have to be able to attack a team from every aspect. Whether we're going to turn around and be rush the quarterback and have a guy who can give us 17 sacks a season, or we need to turn around and see if we can get a defensive back who can give us 6 or 7 interceptions. We also need to figure out if we could throw for a cool 4,500 yards and with 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, or we need to turn around and see if we can have a running back who can give us 1,500 yards. We have to have a balance on everything to see what can work against any team, because one game we can get a team where we can have a team that give us 4 or 5 sacks a game, or we can turn around and we get a team to get a couple of interceptions and a pick 6, or we can throw for 300 yards, or we can run for 150, or we can have a little bit of both. So I'm looking at what we're made of right now, and I think that the Falcons right now are trying to get a really balanced team. If you look at the running game with Tyler Allgeier, you look at the passing game, we're trying to get Desmond Ridder or Marcus Mariota to throw the ball up to Kyle Pitts, Alden Tate, and Drake London. Or you look at the defensive backs with A.J. Terrell and Casey Hayward, the pass rush with Grady Jarrett, who just re-signed, and what's his name, Arnold Ebikete, which we call him AK-47 now because he has number 47 now, which is kind of dope. Troy Anderson, who can fly all over the place, or even in our secondary where we have guys who can cover and get some interceptions. When we're looking at the makeup of this team, this team has pretty much been a big transformation. This is definitely not the team that we had last year, and everything is coming into place at a very fast rate. One thing I will say that this team could be a lot better than advertised, and even though with all the stuff that's going on, if Tyler Allgeier could be the biggest difference maker, this could be a really big deal for this team, because this could turn into a team that we never really thought we can be. A very balanced and aggressive team. Something that we really been looking for a very long time. It's something that I don't think we had since the Michael Turner era. And, but this go around, I think we're going to have a slightly better defense than that era, which is nothing wrong with that era. I think the Michael Turner I think he was awesome for us at the time. So this is what we're looking at. And also, don't forget, even though this season could be fairly successful, watch out for the following season where we have a lot of cap space. Remember when Kyle Pitts said it's going to be scary in Atlanta? It can still be scary, especially the following season. That cap space that we're going to have is outrageous. Shout out to the GM and the coach for making this happen. Look like we're going to be really good. If you like this content, hit the like button, share this content, subscribe to the channel, YouTube or Rumble if you haven't already. Like I said yesterday, share this content. Hit that share button on your phone. When you're looking at the videos, there's a little share button under the video or the podcast or whatever, even on the podcast avenue. Hit that share button. Send it to text message to somebody who you know that's a Falcons fan. Hell, send it to somebody that you know that's another team in the NFC South. Send it to them. Send it to a Saints fan. Send it to a Bucks fan. Send it to a Panthers fan. Let those guys know what's happening over here at First and Frame Race and with the Falcons, because they may not know. I want them guys to know what's going to hit them this season. Also, if you like this content, give me a 5-star rating on the Apple podcast avenue if you're listening over there, or any other podcast avenue that you're listening to as well. Over there, you can rate the podcast. Also, give me some feedback if I'm doing something good, bad, or indifferent. If I need to change some things, write in the comment section here on YouTube, or I think Rumble has a comment section. I can't remember. Or the feedback section of any of these podcast avenue. Let me know what I need to change up. Let me know what you wanted, any feedback that you want to add to this commentary. I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to get up out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.